rediscovering the beauty of Manitoba in the midst of potato field. You see this arm, which is sprinkling water all over the field? How many times I have driven by it, looking at this from the highway, wondering how in the world this system is set and how does it work. And today, I believe Vince is going to answer all my questions about how this system works. Maybe I will introduce this man that is driving me around for half a day already as to who he is. Mr. Vince, what's your name?
Vince Young.
Mr. Young, what do you do in these areas nearby Holland? Obviously you live here and you know the area.
Yeah, we farm a lot of land in this area, grow a number of different crops.
What kind of crops do you grow?
Edible beans, canola, soybeans, potatoes of course.
Yes.
Wheat.
The first video we made, it was all about potatoes, and I didn't realize then that your family business is growing all the other crops.
Yeah.
And you are going to show me something that I took great interest in, and that is irrigation system on your fields, on some of your fields.
Yeah.
We will not tell you anything else until we get there, because I find this whole setting pretty cool. Tell you in a minute. Okay, Vince, so we came to a place which is, why is it so significant?
Well, this is where we pump our water into a big man-made reservoir, which we use as a source of irrigation water. So
which fields you are irrigating with that system?
Oh,
What crops?
it's all mainly potatoes, but when we have water to spare, we'll also irrigate wheat, canola, soybeans,
Okay.
wherever the pivot is sitting on, we'll try and irrigate as much as we can.
Okay. What river is this, Vince?
This river is called Cypress River.
So that's where you get your water for your system.
Yeah,
You have a pump station here.
yeah, pump station here.
Okay.
So we take the water, we pump the water in the spring when the water's running fast in the river here.
Yes.
So we take a very minimal amount of water that goes by here, and we fill the reservoir at that time.
And you use that water then for irrigation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then all summer we pump water out of that reservoir.
Yes, yes. Makes sense.
Yeah. These are screens that keep the trash, any garbage that comes down the river from plugging up our lines.
Like filters.
Yeah, they're filters.
Okay. And let's
So the water is pumped from here, and our water reservoir is about 4 miles away from here.
So it goes through pipes?
Yeah, it goes through an underground pipe, 15 inches in diameter.
We're going to see the reservoir?
Yep.
Well, let's go. Let's see the machinery here first, and then let's see the reservoir.
Okay, when we're pumping at full capacity in the spring, we're pumping 3 million gallons of water a day, and we have to pump for 30 days because our water reservoir holds 90 million gallons of water. So we pump for 30 days, 24 hours a day.
How do you set it manually, or it says here control panel? So how do you control these engines and the timing of pumping? Is it going 24/7 at that time?
24/7, so there's not really much to control, but we have control panels, and we can see on our computer or cell phone if a pump or something sets off. We'll be notified right away.
Wow. Can you stop it from a distance, or do you need to come here and manually stop it, shut it off, or turn it on again?
Yeah, we can stop it remotely from just about anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here it is.
So all this water came from the Cypress River.
You probably saw many times these kind of, how do you call them, irrigation systems?
Yeah, a center irrigation pivot. Yeah.
I did drive by them many times, many times, and I wondered how in the world do they work? So Vince is here to tell me. Vince, tell me how it works.
Okay. Well, this particular pivot is, the water is fed from a big reservoir that we fill out of the river.
Okay.
And we have pumps set up at that reservoir, which pump water underground, and it comes above ground here, right at the center of this pivot.
How far is this reservoir from here?
It'd be about 3 miles away from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's intentionally created in a certain location, so it would reach your fields, certain fields?
Yeah, it's kind of centered in between all our irrigation pivots.
Okay.
So yes, we pump the water to the pivot, and then there's about 800 gallons a minute being pumped to this pivot, and then there's a computer on each one of these pivots, and there in that computer you can set how many inches of water you want to put on the field. Most of the times we put on a half an inch of water with every complete circle.
360
Yeah,
circle. So this stays centered.
yeah. It pivots right at this point, and the pivot goes 360 degrees all the way around the field.
Okay. You told me, I asked you, what is this container back there?
Yeah, this is a container full of liquid fertilizer, nitrogen fertilizer. And it gets pumped into the pivot. So we're not only watering the potatoes, we're giving them liquid fertilizer at the same time.
And this is a field with what that you're watering here?
This is a field of potatoes.
Field of potatoes, which are blooming right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way these pivots work is the end of the pivot is turning a lot faster than right at the pivot point here.
Yes.
So there's nozzles all the way down.
Yes.
So in order to get an even application, the nozzles at the pivot point here are a lot smaller, put on a lot less water than the nozzles on the very end.
Makes sense.
On the very end, the pivot is turning much faster, so you need
Yes.
much more water. Yeah.
Makes sense. That explains, I was asking Vince, how come I'm seeing the water sprinkling at the very end and I can't see it at the very center, close to the pivot? And that explains why.
Yeah.
Because of the space that it covers, right? That it waters as it's moving.
Yeah.
So it almost trickles like here,
Yeah.
because it's almost staying here constantly at 360, but it needs to go fast.
Yeah.
We just saw beautiful rainbow at the very end.
And it takes, to put on a half an inch of water, it takes about 40 hours to go completely around. With
Oh,
half an inch. And that's pumping 800 gallons a minute
oh my God.
continuous.
So do you let it run around 360 once or a full circle? How many times? Or do you monitor how many times?
Oh yeah, we monitor how much we put on. On a dry year like this year, we might put on close to 10 inches of water on every field.
Okay, so that's what you monitor. You monitor how much water it drops in certain spots.
No,
Am I correct? No?
when we program the computer, we'll program it, say, for half an inch on this application.
Okay.
And if we get a rain in between time, we may put on a little bit less the next time.
So you're adjusting it based on what kind of weather is and how much
Yeah.
moisture you get from the clouds.
Based on the moisture content in the soil.
My goodness. Isn't that interesting? I had no idea. about here?
This panel gives you all the information on this pivot. Right now the pivot is sitting at 7 degrees. Straight north would be 360 degrees or 0. So now it's a little bit to the east of straight north. The water pressure on the pivot is 31 psi. The pivot is running at 22% of its top speed. And at that speed, we're putting on a half an inch of water on this field.
Yeah.
And it takes a total of 37.3 hours to make a complete revolution.
You mean full circle?
A full circle.
360. Wow. Evans, you were telling me that there is a different source of water than the reservoir and the water coming from the river to the reservoir. So what else do you use?
Yeah, on much of our land, the pivot gets its water source from wells, and those wells are on this kind of an underground lake. It's called an aquifer.
Huh.
And where the aquifer is really strong, you only need one well to run a pivot. But most of our pivots are on the very outskirts of this big aquifer. So we'll need three to four wells
Are supplying.
to supply one pivot.
That's cool. So we are actually, right now we are kind of having this reservoir of water underground. We are over it? Like we're standing over it?
Not right here, but on some of our land, yeah.
That's so cool. So that water must be different temperature than the one that you're taking from the river to the reservoir and then pumping. Yes?
This water temperature from the reservoir is more ideal. It's like putting rainwater on the plants. It's warmer. It's not as much of a shock on the plant.
Yes.
Whereas from the well, it's a lot colder.
Makes sense. That's kind of what I experienced when I was having garden. And when I was using the hose water, cold water, the plants were reacting to it differently than when it came from a barrel. Let's say I caught the rainwater from the roof and then use this with the watering can.
Yeah, and the water from the river is typically probably a softer water also.
Yeah, because it comes from rain mostly, no?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. That's interesting. Behind me is a field of potatoes which are blooming right now, but I want to show you from a close-up the other end of the irrigation system, the very far end, if you will, the one which is traveling the fastest. See the wheels moving? There we are. I'm getting wet. This was a great day of all kinds of discoveries. Thank you, Vince, for giving me this great tour. This is Zofia Dove and
Vince.
what's your last name, sir?
Young.
Mr. Young. Thank you. This is Zofia Dove, loving Manitoba. Have a great day, everybody.